O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News, Tuesday, February 15th, 2022. Stand up for your country. This is one of those broadcasts where you may need a pen and a paper watching us on TV or listening on the radio. A lot of very good information for you, but two pretty complicated stories. And we're going to try to get you just the facts so you're not confused. This Durham thing, this is interesting, because you have the left-wing media led by the New York Times trying to say, oh no, there's nothing here. Nothing really untoward happened. And then you have the Wall Street Journal's lead editorial says the exact opposite. Okay? So I think I've got it down for you. And that is coming up. But first, the talking points memo, Ukraine. So I get up pretty early in the morning because the terror dog has to go out or she starts to yelp. And every morning when I get up, I turn on the CBS Radio News, okay, the World News Roundup. Now, in the past, that's been okay. They do slant the news a little, but not that much. So I wake up and I get, the invasion of Ukraine is inevitable. All right, it's going to come any minute. I go, whoa. And then I go downstairs and I look at the wire, because I get information coming in here from my staff almost 24 hours a day. And Reuters say, no, there's a pullback, that Putin's pulling back. So now I got CBS telling me any second, I got Reuters wire telling me there's a pullback. I don't know. So what I can tell you is that Putin is playing games. Oh, that's a shock. He's already won this. He's already got himself into the public eye worldwide. That's what he wants to be a rock star. If he does go into Ukraine, he'll be punished economically. So I still say, I don't believe he's going to do it. But I could be very wrong about that. It is an educated guess that I'm making. So Ukraine itself doesn't know what's going to happen. And neither does the Biden administration, which is exactly what Putin wants. So keep everybody on the ledge, okay? And I have said this before, and I'm just going to go over it briefly. If Putin invades Ukraine, the United States and NATO will immediately cut off dollars so that Russia will not be able to do business in dollars. So you can have all the oil money in the world, but if you can't get dollars, you have to get yen. That's not a good thing. And then Putin's pals, the oligarchs, the gangsters who run Russia, they're not going to be able to go anywhere. They're going to be on the no-fly list everywhere. It's going to be a catastrophe for Putin's infrastructure. So that's why I don't think he's going to do it, because it'll hurt him. And what does he gain? A guerrilla war? Bodies, Russian bodies going back every day? Is that what he gets? Because the Ukrainians are not going to say, yeah, all right, fine. They're going to throw hand grenades every day in the middle of the night. So anyway, that's my thinking. And I can't advance the story much more other than tell you, in his life, Vladimir Putin, a little guy, wants to be a big shot. If you listen to Billy Joel's classic hit, Big Shot, that's Putin. And that is the Talking Points memo. Now, let's get on to President Biden's schedule. He actually left the White House today, giving a 2 p.m. speech to county officials about something. I'm not quite sure what. So all this is Biden gets in a car, he drives over to the Hilton Hotel. There's a teleprompter there. He's already looked over the script. He tells the county people that everything's great, and he comes back. That's what he did. Nothing else today from Biden. Inflation. Now, this is what he should be talking about, but of course, he has no idea about why it's happening or what to do about it. So inflation now is up about 10% for the year. Okay, and y'all know that. We did a radio report today that said the average working family paying about $3,500 more now than they did last year for the stuff you need, food, fuel, on and on. So $3,500 has been taken out of the family budget because Joe Biden has ignited inflation by a number of things terrorizing the fossil fuel industry, massive spending, no confidence in his government, all of that. Okay, so that's the core report today. If you want to get technical, they expected, what do they expect? An 0.4 inflation estimate in January, and it went 0.9. Okay, there's the tech. Durham. All right, let me grab this. This is the Wall Street Journal lead editorial today, which I think is the best. So after I explain this to you, if you wanted something to read that. So John Durham is the special counsel looking into the Russian collusion hoax. There he is. All right. 3 years he's been on the case. One indictment. A lawyer named Michael Sussman, who told the FBI he wasn't working for a political operation when he was working for Hillary Clinton's campaign, trying to get dirt on Trump and build up a Russian collusion narrative. Okay. So the latest thing is this. The federal government apparently hired a man named Rodney Joffe, Joffe. Joffe runs a company, or was called Newstar, Inc. I think they changed the name or whatever. Newstar had a contract with the federal government. It's a high-tech company, all right? Federal government paid Newstar to do some tech work for it. I'm not sure what it was. Nobody knows yet. But Newstar was working for the feds. And as part of the job, Newstar had access to government computers and information on those computers. Apparently, Joffe had a deal, secret deal, with Sussman, okay, to what they call mine, M-I-N-E, information from Trump computers at the Trump Tower in New York City and later on at the White House. So nobody knew Joffe was working for Sussman, who was working for the Clinton campaign. You get the pipeline here? Now, I assume Joffe's paid a lot of money, but I don't know yet. That's what Durham's trying to find out. But there was surveillance on the Trump Tower software and later the White House software by Newstar and Joffe. And they were trying to get information, any information they could get, linking Trump to Putin. All right? Now, they didn't get any, so Sussman made it up. And subsequently, other people made it up. But they were surveilling, what they call surveilling. That's a tap. I used that word yesterday. In the old-time killing the mob days, the FBI would tap electronically the phone because there weren't any computers back then. Now, mining what goes on a private computer is really a tap, just so you know. Okay. So then Durham puts this stuff out. But there are a lot of stuff that we don't know, as I just said. We don't know who hired Newstar in the first place. We don't know if Joffe was being paid millions of dollars. We don't know any of that yet. What we do know is that this happened, all right? That the Trump computers in a private place, Trump Tower is private, and then a public place, the White House, were being surveilled, i.e. tapped. You with me now? Okay. Again, this Wall Street Journal article is very good. So in response, the left-wing press said, there's nothing new. No, nothing new here at all. And the right-wing people like OReilly are distorting everything. All right? Now remember, mining, tapping, surveilling is a felony, both federal and state. Don't expect New York to investigate. Not going to do it. These people are corrupt in the Justice Department here in New York State. Feds, well, they are doing it because of Durham. So, yesterday, a Fox News correspondent asked the Deputy White House Press Secretary, Miss Jean-Pierre about the situation. Roll it.
Is what was described in that report, monitoring internet traffic, is that spying?
Again, I can't speak to that report. I refer you to the Department of Justice.
Generally speaking, that with monitoring internet traffic.
Jackie, my answer is not going to change. I refer you to the Department of Justice. I can't speak to that from here.
And that's a smart play by the Biden White House. It's smart. Okay, why would you say anything about this? Now, just so you know, statute of limitations, because Durham's 3 years in, is 5 years on cybercrime, espionage 10 years, and most federal crimes in general, if it's something else, 5 years. So Durham pretty much has 2 years. I think he's going to take another year myself, but I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. So I hate to do this, but I have to do it. So Juan Williams I've known for decades. You remember that Juan used to work for NPR, and they fired him because Williams said, you know, if I see young Muslim men getting on an airplane, I'm scared to get on it. And NPR, of course, fired Williams for saying that. Fox News hired him, which was the right thing to do. I used him on a factor. Okay, but since I left there, Williams has gone very, very far left. And here's what he said yesterday. Go.
Well, I mean, we heard John Ratcliffe, you know, the former director of national intelligence, say today on Fox in terms of the high-tech company looking at these computers. There was no hacking. Nothing illegal took place there. The charge by Durham is against a lawyer who talked to an FBI lawyer and apparently didn't sufficiently divulge that he had a relationship with the Clinton campaign. So that's it.
That's just not true. That's a blatant falsehood. Now, Bret Baier knew it. You could see in his face, and the other three panelists knew it. He was just not telling the truth, Williams. And Williams is not a stupid man. He was spitting out propaganda. Was not challenged. They let it go. You imagine if it had been me? It would have been Barney Frank Redoux. When I saw that, I went, are you blanking kidding me? Nothing here? This was all legal? There was no hacking? When they're mining information illegally, you can't do that in a private residence, and they're selling it to a political campaign, and he's going, Now that is the state of cable and network news in America today. Boy. All right. If you have any questions, bill@BillO'Reilly.com, bill@BillO'Reilly.com. We promise you honest coverage. Oh, there's one more thing I forgot. I'm sorry. On the right, on conservatives, they misstated the story too, the Durham story. Roll the tape.
The Durham Report. There's some serious findings now coming out that a former presidential candidate, Hillary Clinton, paid a firm to recruit a government official who was working for the White House, intercepting communications, giving them back to the private company, which was then selectively filtered to the FBI and the CIA to essentially spy.
Hillary Clinton didn't pay anybody. All right? Now, maybe she knew about it. Possible. But you can't say Hillary Clinton paid a guy to do blah, 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 blah. It's her campaign that did it. Certainly Podesta, the campaign chief, he had to know. Did she know? I don't know. You can draw a conclusion. You can have an opinion because of the way she's conducted herself in the past. Certainly you can have an opinion, but you can't say Hillary Clinton paid. That's irresponsible. Happens all the time. All right, little Justin Trudeau up in Canada. He's flexing his muscle. I think he only has one, but he's flexing it. Emergency powers to get those truckers out of his face. He's cutting off all funding. I guess they have some internet funding for the truckers, cutting that off. And he's saying to his local cops and his federal police, you got to get tough. Okay, so 90 in Windsor, when they blocked the bridge, 46 arrests were made. I'm sure in Ottawa how many arrests. I don't know what they're doing up there, but now little Justin's getting tough. The truckers already won. They already won. Okay, he's embarrassed. He looks weak. Nobody wants the mandates anyway, and that's because COVID's on the decline. So I'm proud of myself. I predicted, and you watch this program, you listen to this program. I predicted by Valentine's Day, which was yesterday, that COVID would be in deep recession, which it is. All right, the latest stats, according to Johns Hopkins, a reliable source, COVID cases down 62% in a month. Okay, when I made the prediction, they've declined 62% since I made it. And by March 1st, okay, it'll be another 20%, and Omicron will buy. Now, not getting cocky, because you could have another variant come in real fast. But I think you got to lift all the mandates right now. It's safe. Give those kids a break in school. But in New York, Mayor Adams, Eric Adams, new mayor, just fired 1,430 New York City workers for refusing to get vaxxed. Wrong. All right, 900 Department of Ed, 100 at the Housing Authority, 36 in the Police Department, 40 in Sanitation, 25 in Fire. Wrong. I would put them on unpaid leave. Okay? And I don't think you're going to even need this vax mandate in a month. If you are stuck in a timeshare and you haven't called Lone Star Transfer yet, what are you waiting for? Lone Star Transfer has helped more than 16,000 happy customers. They are family owned, have a 99% success rate. Their process is done legally, ethically, and quickly. I mean, does it get better than that? The team at Lone Star Transfer will keep you informed every step of the way until you are legally and permanently released from your timeshare. So don't pay another penny for a timeshare you don't use. Get peace of mind today with Lone Star Transfer. They guarantee the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. Give Lone Star Transfer a call for a free no-obligation consultation. 855-551-7066, 855-551-7066, or online at lonestartransfer.com. Convention of States. All right. Now, I got a lot of mail on this. I'm going to explain it to you. Again, this is why you need pen and paper. And then we're going to bring in a guy who's running the Convention of States, if it happens. Okay. So, philosophically, founding fathers, all that, a convention of states allows the individual states to address the growing tyranny in Washington. All right? So we certainly have that. So Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution gives states the power to call a convention of states to propose new amendments to the Constitution. Article 5. All right? It takes 34 states to agree through their state legislatures and governor to participate in a convention of states. Currently, 17 states have agreed. They are Nebraska, Wisconsin, Mississippi, Georgia, Alaska, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Indiana, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Arizona, North Dakota, Texas, Missouri, Arkansas, Utah. Now, you don't see any blue states on that list. Okay? You know, Wisconsin, back and forth, but they're basically traditional states. Well, why would the blue states not participate in this? So, they need 17 more states to get a convention. Okay? 8 others are considering it, and one house has approved it. So it's getting close, but it still needs more support. Now, what happens if they want to change things like term limits? All right, so we don't have term limits for federal elected officials. I like term limits. I bet you do. So let's get term limits. Well, you would have to get 38 states to ratify the amendment that there should be term limits, and then say what they were. 38 states. If 38 states did that, all right, then it becomes part of the Constitution. You would go around Congress and the president. 38 states said, no, we want it. Okay, we're going to certify we want it. Then it becomes law, which is the power of a convention of states. Joining us now from Austin, Texas, Mark Meckler. He is the president of the Convention of States. Very impressive. All right, so did I describe that accurately? Did I leave anything out that's important?
No, you nailed it, Bill. That was perfect.
Okay, so now you are working to convince 17 more states to sign on. How's that going?
Yeah, it's going really well. In fact, I'll be leaving tonight for South Carolina. We'll be having a House hearing there. I expect that a Senate hearing. I expect we'll get that done. We've already passed in the House, so the Senate is next. From there, we'll go to West Virginia. We have supportive leadership in both houses in West Virginia. I expect we'll get that done in the next several weeks. North Carolina has already passed their House, pending in the Senate. I expect we'll get that done when they come back into session in May. Iowa looks very good this year, potentially Ohio and Pennsylvania as well. So we got a lot of states lining up for this session.
But it sounds to me like you're 2 years, maybe 3 years away.
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
All right. So maybe coinciding with the next presidential election, you would have a convention of states. But California is never going to show up. New York won't show up. Illinois won't show up. Massachusetts certainly will not. Some of the New England states, like New Hampshire, I think might. Maine. But the states that don't show up, say you get your 34, all right, that means 16 states are sitting it out. That's going to hurt you.
Well, I just want to correct something. I think you are correct that a lot of those states will not pass resolutions calling for a convention of states. But when the convention convenes, it's what's called a general convention. And I expect all of those states will show up, if nothing else, to try and throw sand into the gear. So I expect they'll all show up. Also would like to point out that in Massachusetts this last week, that resolution passed out of an overwhelmingly Democrat committee, a committee that was 14-3 Democrat to Republican. We got the votes, it passed out of committee, and it's now going to the floor. So I think we're going to start seeing some movement on the left towards this as well.
That'd be interesting. All right, because you do need 38 states to pass whatever you propose for it to become part of the Constitution. Give me the top 3 things that a convention of states would want to get into the Constitution.
Sure. So there are 3 subject matter areas here. One is fiscal restraints on the federal government. So that would include the most popular, a balanced budget amendment supported by about 85% of the American public polled the last 30 years. That could also include tax limitations and spending caps. Number 2 would be imposing term limits on federal officials. And it's important we use the term officials. It's not just Congress. That would also potentially apply to bureaucrats and staffers, what you and I now know as the deep state. And then finally would be what we call scope and jurisdiction restrictions on the federal government. And that would involve going back to something more like the enumerated powers, telling the federal government, no, you cannot be involved in education, you cannot be involved in healthcare. This is really the restraining element of the convention. And I would add just kind of a tasty tidbit for the end. We can restrain the federal government and tell them that they cannot add more seats to the United States Supreme Court.
Okay. That would be worthy, that's for sure. I don't think you're going to get the third one, where the federal government would be banished from giving block grants to education and police agencies. I don't think that's going to happen. But I do think you got a really good shot at a balanced budget amendment, which means that the government could not spend more than it takes in, all right, and term limits. Term limits, I think, is the strongest one. And then, but with the red states and the states that, you know, really don't like this progressive socialism, they're going to want the balanced budget amendment. And so I think you got a good shot at that. Would that be an accurate appraisal of where you are now?
Yeah, I think that's very accurate, Bill. It's interesting. There are some other easy ones that aren't talked about a lot that I think can come into play. One would be something called a single subject amendment. The majority of states have this to prevent these 2,000-page monstrosity bills where legislators are forced to vote on good things or they get bad things with the good things. It's really unclear. So a single subject amendment is one I would throw in there as well as an easy pass.
I like that a lot because that my legislation, Kate's law, would have been passed. And that was Mitch McConnell killed that. He kept attaching it to bills he knew were going to die. If you had it straight up and down, it would have passed. All right, finally, when you get the convention of states, and I'm taking an optimistic view because I think it's a good thing, who goes? Who shows up from the states? Because this would take a long time. It would almost be like the Continental Congress. You have to get guys and women sitting there for many, many months, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And so this is one of the things I love most about the process is that it's very federalist in nature. In other words, the states will decide who goes on behalf of each state, and it's the state legislatures that choose their delegations. Each state gets one vote, but they can send as many delegates as they like. I imagine they'll send economists and political scientists, and Lord knows who California will send, but they will choose their delegations however the legislature sees fit and ultimately get one vote per one state.
Okay, good. All right, keep us posted, Mr. Meckler. It's very kind of you to help us out tonight. We are interested in this story, and thanks for appearing with us.
Thank you, Bill. Great to be here.
Okay. Are you looking for your next investment? Bill O'Reilly here. There are 8 reasons to look at the NRIA Real Estate Development Fund. Stable monthly cash flow payouts with double-digit targeted bonus returns. They strategically develop in lower-risk, high-demand neighborhoods. Prime new construction is short on supply and high on demand. Diversification is safety from stock market risk. They have a short and long-term strategy for returns today and down the road. Specifically designed pandemic-hardened buildings. They are 15-year industry leaders with a proven track record. So if you've been sitting on the sidelines or want to diversify, please start your due diligence at nria.net or call 800-800-1414. That's easy, 800-800-1414.
An offer of securities is only made by the NRIA Private Placement Memorandum. Read it first. Past performance does not guarantee future results. NRIA is a real estate development firm. Learn more at nria.net.
All right, final thought of the day. You know, we all are sinners. We all make mistakes. Some of us make big mistakes. And some of us cannot forgive ourselves. Okay? Now, in my religion, Roman Catholicism, we have confession, penance. As you know, you go in, you confess your sin. The philosophy of the Catholic Church is that every human being can be forgiven, no matter how heinous the act they committed is. Okay, but you have to be really sorry. And in order to demonstrate that, you have to give restitution. So in your life, if you've done something terrible, you've got to try to make amends. And that can come in a million different ways. Now, a lot of times pop into my mind bad things that I've done in my past. And I'm embarrassed because I shouldn't have done them. And I know better now. And most of them weren't, I didn't know I was doing bad when I was doing it, but it didn't wind up good. And I should have known it was bad. So there's no excuse that I didn't know. But I try to make amends to people that I've hurt or things that, I've done I shouldn't have done. I try to. Now, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can't do it. But the only way you can forgive yourself, and I have, and that's an important thing. You've got to forgive yourself. Because if you don't, then you start to loathe yourself. And that leads to self-destructive behavior. I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't want to do that pinheady stuff. Just know this. Everybody has done bad things. You've got to forgive yourself. And the way to do that is restitution. Thank you for watching and listening tonight. We will see you tomorrow. I'm sure I'm not the only one who's noticed everything is getting more expensive. We are in the biggest economic crisis since 2008. With a government that's printing trillions of dollars, consumer prices at the highest we've seen in 30 years. Inflation certainly here. And if the government continues its out of control printing and spending, the dollar could continue its free fall and lose its coveted role as the world's reserve currency. While paper money will eventually have a shrinkage in value, there are real tangible things that will always maintain value. So how do you protect your money, your retirement, your savings? American Hartford Gold can show you how to hedge your hard-earned savings against inflation by helping you diversify a portion of your portfolio into physical gold and silver. All it takes to get started is a short phone call. and they'll have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your IRA or 401k. Plus, tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they'll give you up to $2,500 of free silver on your first order. So please don't wait. Call them now, 866-501-5201, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532. Again, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532.
Bill O'Reilly is back on TV and only on The First. No Spin News, every weeknight at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on The First.